Hello everyone, welcome. I know I've not scoped in a while. In my dream world, I would be on a regular scoping schedule and all that good stuff, but you can't do everything. So right now, and probably for the foreseeable future, we are just in scoping whenever I have a chance and whenever I have something to say mode. So I really appreciate you guys showing up. And so today I thought I would talk about my Pinterest strategies, because I've been seeing a lot of talk online about how to, hey Paige, so glad you're here. I've been seeing a lot of talk about this online. Hey, good morning, I'm so glad to have you here. So first of all, just let me say, Pinterest, at least for me and my blog, I'm going to take these off because they have this awful glare. So for me has been huge for my blog and business, because Pinterest as a social media platform is like designed to send people away from Pinterest onto sites. So obviously it's a huge traffic driver. And there are a bunch of different strategies out there for how to use it. So I just thought, I've grown my Pinterest, I think I have like maybe 43,000 or so followers on there. I'm going to talk about why I don't even think that's super important in a second. But and if you want to hear see this in writing, I'm going to do a blog post on. It's probably going to go out on Monday. So if you're signed up for my newsletter list, which is iheartplanners.com/entrepreneur, you'll get that in your email on Monday. And I'd love to hear, like, if you have, what your Pinterest situation is, if you're feeling excited about it or frustrated with it, or if you have any great insights. I'm all ears for sure. I will say that I think, as is the case with many people, in the past month or two, my traffic has gone significantly down from Pinterest. And I think that's just kind of how it is. They make changes, they change their algorithm, and there's a lot of things we do not have control over. But we don't want to like throw up our hands and be like, no, we don't have control over this, this is terrible. We just need to do the best we can. And I will say, like, one of the things that I've done well, and I talk about this all the time, but it helps so much, is from day one of starting the blog. Yeah, I'll talk about paying for ads in a second, but from day one of starting my blog, I focused on making sure that if someone visited my blog, I wanted them to be a repeat visitor, so I wanted to get them on my email list. And that has helped tremendously, because even though, like, my overall page views and traffic are way down right now, but it hasn't affected what I do very much at all, because most of what I do is through my email list, and that's pretty consistent, way more than social media. So my revenue has still been going up and all that great stuff, even though Pinterest is not as much my friend these days. So that's one piece of advice I could give you, if I could say anything, is make sure that no matter what social media platform you're using or how you're getting people to your site, that you are getting them on your email list so that you can keep in touch with them, and that'll make you a little bit more immune to changes that are going to happen all the time. So, all right, let me dive into a couple things I want to share. What I've observed through, I've probably been focusing on Pinterest for close to 3 years. Pretty soon after I started my blog, it's really my main social media platform, which makes sense because my products and content are highly visual. And so here's a couple things that I have observed. First of all, don't forget what your ultimate goal is when it comes to using Pinterest. A lot of people focus on the number of followers, and I mean, that's great. There's nothing wrong with having a bunch of followers, but I kind of doubt that that's really what you're after, just the number of followers. What you really want from Pinterest is for people to click on pins that go to your blog, and for you to get traffic to your blog so that they see your content and hopefully sign up for your email list and things like that. So really, the number of followers is not super important, and if that's all you're focusing on, you might be missing out on some ways that you could actually get more traffic. So really, I hardly even look at my follower numbers. The only thing I worry about is the traffic that comes from Pinterest. That's all I worry about when it comes to Pinterest, because right now, and this could change at any time, whatever Pinterest has done is making it easier to get followers. Like, my followers have been growing faster in the past maybe month or so, but my traffic has not gone up. It's actually gone down. So the number of followers I don't think is super important. That's just and I think that's probably true across the board. So I worry more about traffic than followers. And second, Pinterest will constantly change. It's been changing for the past 2 years. It will keep on changing. There's not a lot we can do about it. So you have to just be prepared for that. And that's the way I think the online world is. Changes happen and we don't have a lot of control over them. So we do what we can to make ourselves to where we're not as highly affected by the change, and then we're just gonna have to be willing to experiment and kind of go with the flow. And third, one thing I've noticed, since my Pinterest traffic isn't as good as I had hoped the past couple months, every time I run across something, that a blog post or somebody in a Facebook group that is talking about Pinterest, I'm like all ears. I'm reading it. My blog URL is iHeartPlanners, and if you want to sign up for my entrepreneur email list, it's iHeartPlanners.com/entrepreneur. And one thing I've noticed is everybody has different advice. I don't know if you've noticed that, but somebody will say, oh my goodness, I have, amazing Pinterest traffic and I'm doing great and I pin 100 pins per day. And then I'll see somebody else who's reports great results and they're like, I pin 25 pins per day. And you're like, which is it? Or somebody else says, I pin to 50 group boards every day, and somebody else is like, I pin to 1 or 2 a week. Okay, which is it? And I would say there is no absolute right and wrong answer. I imagine that there are people out there pinning 100 pins a day that have great traffic, and there are people out there pinning 100 pins a day that have terrible traffic, and vice versa for the people who want to pin 20 pins a day. So there is no absolute one perfect way, and there's more factors. There's not an exact formula. And before I started blogging, I was an electrical engineer for many years, so I kind of have that engineering brain, and I would really love it if somebody would say, you need to pin exactly 75.2 pins per day at this exact interval, but it actually doesn't work like that. As you know, social media, you're connecting with real people, with, real emotions, and people are not computers, so there is no, perfect formula out there. So you have to be willing to try some things. Your audience may be different than someone else's audience. So you need to understand your own audience. Just be willing to experiment. And I would recommend that it's going to be hard to try a bunch of different strategies at once. You can't try to pin 20 pins a day and 100 pins a day. So what you should do is kind of, gather information about what other people are doing and see what resonates the most with you. Does this really make sense to you? Or does it sound like something you can do? For example, I personally do about 25 to 30 pins a day. That's what I've done all along, no more than that. And I think there's a lot of merit. So I know some people are doing great with a lot of pins, but I don't really want to do that. I don't really have time to curate quite that many pins. So that just doesn't really resonate with me. And that's one of the reasons why, choose what sounds like fun to you. If you just love Pinterest and you love pinning, maybe the 100 pins a day would work really well for you. And I would just recommend picking a strategy and sticking with it for at least 3 months so you can see your results, and then go back and refine. Say this is or this isn't working. A couple of things I wanted to cover for actually improving your Pinterest traffic. This is what I have done from the beginning, and I think these things are kind of more timeless because, like I said, changes are going to happen. First and foremost, the most important thing you can do, and what you should be spending the vast majority of your time on, is creating great content and great pin graphics. Because it does not matter what Pinterest algorithm is or anything else. If you don't have great eye-catching Pinterest graphics, your pins aren't going to do great, whether you're the one pinning them or someone else, and vice versa. If you spend that time really improving your pin graphics, you're going to do a lot better. So I spend most of my time worrying about getting my pin graphics as good as they can possibly be. So I spend time, obviously the actual graphic itself. I test out different graphics. I kind of split test And so sometimes I'll take the same post and I'll do 1, 2, 3 different graphics. And that'll allow you to pin them a little bit more without looking the same, but it also allows you to see which one do people like better. And you might be surprised. So I would spend some time doing that. Also, coming up with a good headline. So when you put your headline actually on your pin, take a few minutes and think of a good headline. That I have noticed when I'm browsing Pinterest, that makes all the difference in the world. Like if you just say, 5 ways to organize your office. Okay, that's interesting. But if you say like 5 office organization that changed my life, that's gonna be like, oh, I gotta see that. So spend some time doing that. Just explore Pinterest, explore what catches your eye. The second thing I would recommend, and what I did from the beginning, is focus on building your own boards more than pinning to group boards. I don't think group boards are bad, especially if they're working for you. Yeah, I mean, keep on doing it. I wouldn't stop. But focusing on your own boards, I think, is going to be the way to go because you have more control over those. And right now, Pinterest is definitely favoring those. So I'd recommend doing that. The other thing I'd recommend, this is kind of, maybe this is a little unconventional. I haven't heard of a lot of other bloggers say that they did this, but back, I don't know, if it was a year or two ago, I think I was around maybe 10,000 followers, and I was able to grow. I know I gathered these stats one time and I couldn't find them. I wish I had the exact numbers, but I grew from like 10 to 20,000, and my traffic was actually increasing. That was when your followers kind of mattered more. And in I think it was 4 months. And what I did was, I probably have 40 or so boards on Pinterest. I focused on 2. So 90% of my pins went to those 2 boards. And for me, those boards were organizing and planners and printables, because that is the content that I write about, and my own, almost all my own blog posts would fit naturally and organically into those. So those are the boards I wanted to grow. So what that let me do is, even though I was only pinning maybe 20 to 25 pins a day, it was probably about 10 pins per board. So I was able to really focus my time and really build those boards up. And it should be no surprise that far and away those boards, A, have more followers, and B, the average repins on those boards are just light years ahead of all my other boards. And that's great because those are the boards that my own content fits on. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, I'd recommend it scale back. I wouldn't delete all my boards. Certainly if there's useless boards, don't feel bad about deleting them. But I would focus heavily on just a couple boards, really grow those. And right now, Pinterest does seem to be putting a lot of weight on the board that a pin comes from and how much it's showing to people. So I think that paid off really well for me. So I recommend trying that and seeing what kind of results you have. So anyway, and somebody said something, oh, do I schedule my pins? Yes, I do. I've experimented with various pin scheduling techniques. I definitely want to do a post about how I, actually a screencast video about how I do it. But right now I'm using Board Booster almost exclusively. I use Ahology a little bit. Whenever I first publish a post, I pin to maybe 5 or 6 relevant boards, a couple of mine, a couple group boards, and I do that through Ahology. One thing that Ahology helps with is if you do okay with them, people will repin from within the network. So that's why I do that, and it kind of schedules, spaces them out. But everything else, I do Board Booster. Ahology, I won't do everything in there because it takes forever. I tried Tailwind, I liked it. Right now it's Board Booster. It's pretty much autopilot. I loop boards, and then I pin to secret boards, just when I'm on my phone, if I'm watching TV or if I'm waiting for something. It's really quick and easy to keep those secret boards scheduled. That feeds into, that Board Booster will feed into there, and then I intermix my own content, so I have secret boards for all my own content, so it's kind of intermixing, because I've also, for me personally, I kind of right now, I don't think there's an exact formula, and I'm not super rigid about it, but I pin about 70 to 80% of other people's content and maybe 20 to 30% of my own. So I kind of try to intermingle those. But I think pin scheduling is great because there's no way that you want to be pinning every single day, or at least I don't. I want to take days off and do other stuff, and Pinterest can be highly distracting once you get on there. So, and somebody said something about paid, Pinterest wants you to pay. Well, I mean, I have no idea what their strategy is. That could very well be their strategy. But here's the thing about paying to promote pins. If it works, do it. I'm not opposed at all if you're making money back on top of that and they want you to pay. Their business, I'm happy to pay. Whether it's actually helpful is another question. If you're going, I've experimented with paid pins, with promoted pins. When I first started, they just did terrible. Like, you could pay a ton of money and not get very many results, and I was like, I just don't know that this is super useful. And I finally got some great advice from a course called Brilliant Pin Promotion. If you go to brilliantbusinessmoms.com, that's who put that course out. And after I watched that, I learned a lot, and so I've actually I'm experimenting just a little bit, and I'm able to get much better results from that. So I don't think there's any harm in experimenting with it, and if that's what Pinterest wants you to do, well, great, I guess. But who's to say? None of these platforms give you all their secrets. Have you noticed that a boosted pin brings down your non-paid pinning? Not at all. Quite the opposite. Actually, what happens is, and you'll see this if you promote pins, what happens is that you get organic pins on top of what you pay for. And even after you stop paying, like if you stop the campaign, it'll keep tracking what kind of organic pins you got on top of that. So I don't think it hurts at all. And really, I wish I had a scientific way to test this, but another thing I'm trying, I just started a brand new board on a brand new topic related to blogging, which I hadn't had really any boards on that before because it's only been in the past few months that I started actually blogging about that topic. So what I did was I've picked 5 or so of my best pins, and I'm promoting them just not a lot, just a few dollars a day, and I'm trying to see if by doing that I can get the strength of that board up. And I'm not sure if I can. I'm not sure. It's too early to say, but I don't really think it's going to hurt your organic pinning at all. And yeah, Abby said, yeah, oh, that's great to hear. Is it Facebook? I've heard differing opinions on whether it hurts or helps on Facebook too. Whether it hurts or helps your organic. I've heard different things. I don't know. I don't really do a lot of boosting posts from my page on Facebook. I think even on Facebook it helps organically as well, but who's to say? And then Abby said she's had success with promoting a pin, going to a post with affiliate links, and that is a great thing to try, because if you have an affiliate link in a post and maybe every person who buys that thing you make $10, well then you can pay $10, up to $10 to promote a pin and have one person buy it. So I think that's a great thing to try. I've experimented with that actually a little bit, and I've had really good results. The other thing I like is that you can, if you have your own product, you can't really do this with affiliate products, which I wish you could, but if you have your own product, they will do conversion tracking for you. Similar to what Facebook does, although not quite as sophisticated, I guess. But so if you have your own product, you can actually, it's pretty easy to do. You can just copy a little bit of code and put that in your thank you page or confirmation page after someone checks out. So you can actually track the conversions of what kind of sales you had. You can also track signups if you wanted. I haven't tried this yet, but say if you wanted to promote a pin that was taking people to a sign up page for a webinar or for your email list, you could totally track how that worked. And so I'd recommend that too, just so you can see how effective it is. So anyway, I love talking about Pinterest and social media. If you are new to me, go check out iHeartPlanners.com/entrepreneur. Sign up for my email list. You'll get all this information in a blog post, an email on Monday, and I hope you guys have a great day and a happy weekend. I'll talk to you later.